What's up, Rapids fans? And on this week's edition of The Rundown presented by Dick's Sporting Goods, the Rapids are unable to hold on against New England, but they now have Sporting Kansas City on the horizon for 4th of July, and then we have Sam Vines for Off the Pitch. That and much more. Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Colorado Rapids podcast. This week's edition of The Rundown presented by Dick's Sporting Goods. I'm your host, Mike Ravolo, alongside my good friend and resident Rapids legend, Drew Moore. Drewby, how are we doing? It's a dreary Monday. Look, just at the looks of it right now, we're looking outside through the window. It looks a little dreary, but how was your weekend overall?
My weekend was good. I got away with my family for a little bit. Visited my dad's side of the family.
Lovely.
In very small town Indiana where he grew up. I got to spend some time with my almost 98-year-old grandmother.
Oh, wow.
So if you're looking for the fountain of youth,
there it is.
hit her up. She has found it. But yeah, it's a little gray, it's a little cloudy, it's a little cooler today, but I'll take it over. We dealt with 100 plus degrees last weekend, and I know in the Northeast it seemed pretty hot and humid. You were there, Mike. What was it like?
It wasn't terribly humid. So coming from the East Coast, I know what proper humidity is like. So that, at least as it pertains to the game on Saturday against New England, it wasn't that humid, but you could feel it.
Yeah,
you could definitely feel it. So I was not about it. So I didn't envy the players when they were running around for 90 minutes in that humidity and that heat, even later into the evening. So I at least was okay in that sense.
That can wear on you. It can drain you, And being in the Midwest this last weekend, you could definitely feel it. We kind of got there at the end of that really hot stretch, right? That was affecting the Midwest and the East Coast. But I'll take a day like this. I know I do kind of want the sun to come out a little bit, but it's at least a little bit cooler today.
Yeah. Speaking of that heat, stay hydrated, everybody. It can be a killer out there. It's always important to stay hydrated.
Sure is.
A little note for myself as
It
well,
sure
honestly. So before we get going into the New England and Colorado Rapids match, the recap for that from this past Saturday. After that match took place between both the first team sides, that we had the Special Olympics Rapids Unified team play on the Gillette Stadium pitch, which it's freaking cool, man. Like, it's freaking cool for those kids to have that experience. Obviously, under Molly Underley, our wonderful head coach for the Rapids Unified squad, they went on to get a 3-1 win on the night. Of course, I know Molly Underley was very excited to get the win. The players in general were very happy to get that win. But I got there on the tail end of it just because of post-game responsibilities that I had. After the first team. So I got there at the very tail end, and then after the match ended, all you can kind of see was just kind of the joy and happiness from everybody, not just on the Rapids side, but from the New England Revolution Special Olympics team as well. And that's why I love this, man. It's just incredible to be around this group of players and people who just find the joy in everything that they can get out of it, an experience like this, and even outside of the experience, they're just fun to be around, man. They're just super, super, super great to be around.
I think it's so great, and it's special, and it's important, and I'm sad that I missed the trip for that very reason. The unified team being there. There's moments in a season where it can feel like a grind, it can feel like work, it can happen at random times, but anytime you're around the unified team or they make the trip with us, it's awesome. It just lifts you up just a little bit, whether you're feeling good or whether you're feeling a little bit down. The unified group, man, they're awesome. They put a smile on your face. They've always got a smile on theirs. They're our biggest fans. They support us so hard. So for them to go out and get a victory, remain undefeated on the season, and cap the night off on a positive must have been awesome. And yeah, sad I wasn't there for it, but happy to hear that their game went the way it did.
Yeah, it was happy to. Yeah, it's just nice to have them around, man. Like when it's exactly as you mentioned, when they were on the trip with us and they got to fly back with us. It's just nice to have the Special Olympics group around, man. It's for me, it's a thrill, and I would say it's one of the biggest, if not the biggest thing we do at this club is be able to kind of provide this platform for these players and these people to be able to have this experience through the Rapids Unified group. And it's great, man. It's a joy every time we have, I remember texting Molly saying I couldn't wait until this season got started. Right. And now we're 2 games into their season with, they have one more later on in the season coming up. And we will of course remind everybody when that's coming up, which I believe it's going to be here at Dick's Sporting Goods Park.
Yeah.
So we'll want to make sure that people will be tuned into that. But again, we'll provide that reminder when that game comes around. So yeah, at least Rapids Unified was able to walk away with a good result, 3-1 win on the night, which is great.
Awesome. Awesome stuff.
Moving on from that, Drew, let's get into what was the match between the first team sides of New England Revolution and the Colorado Rapids, taking place at Gillette Stadium this past Saturday. First time that these two teams faced off, I recall, in Gillette Stadium since 2021, when both of them were fighting for the Supporters' Shield at that point. And then here we have the Rapids getting things kicked off, Drew. Calvin Harris, his second goal in 2 games.
Awesome for Calvin. He continues to play with a lot of confidence and impacting the game from the start is great to see. I love the extra pass from Josh Atencio and Calvin. That's a confident finish there from a confident young man.
Extra pass, upgrade the situation, as Chris Armas likes to say. And then here, Rafa Navajo doubling the lead.
And Rafa showing a lot of confidence in this first half as well. He kind of started that first goal and then takes on 2 New England defenders and buries it in the corner. Love to see that.
And then some good quick play here. Ted gets his first goal for the Rapids here, Drew.
First goal from the Rapids, but just continues to be Ted and scoring goals or getting assists. Just positive play. It looks like he's going to create something every time he gets on the ball.
He's very positive play from Ted, earning his first goal for the Rapids. But then things flipped a little bit here with New England getting their first goal.
Yeah, tough time to give away a goal after just going up 3, and Vinesy just doesn't get his feet sorted out. He'll obviously want that one back.
And then looking here, Drew, an incident in the penalty area, in Colorado's penalty area, where Sam Bassett was deemed to have fouled Carlos Heel here.
It just lets Heel get the wrong side of him, and it's you're always playing catch up, and not a lot of contact, but enough for it to be a penalty. And Heel with a good penalty, as you'd expect from him, as he just closes the hips at the last second there, sending Nico the wrong way.
And then Drew, it was 3-2 at this point, late in the second half, already in added time, and then New England found a way to tie up the match.
And Maxi Urruti just doing what he's done over the course of his career here in Major League Soccer, just getting on the end of crosses, finding space in the box to score goals, and that's a tough one to finish on, obviously, because that's an avoidable goal. And I know we'll get into the general thoughts and stuff on the match, but tough one to give up in injury time there at the end, Mike.
It certainly was, and like I said, we're going to get into that a little bit. I want to get your thoughts on that, Drew. But first, before we do that, we're going to go through some of the match stats. So New England on the night, they had 20 shots versus Colorado's 11. 10 shots on goal for New England versus Colorado's 4. 11 corners for New England Revolution versus 2 for the Rapids. And then the possession was pretty a big disparity there, with the Revolution having 70.7% of the possession on the night, the Rapids having 29.3%. I think we're on the same page in terms of how we felt after this game, Drew, but I'm going to let you have your general thoughts and let me know what you made of this match overall between the Revolution and the Rapids.
General thoughts. I feel like we could spend the entire episode of this podcast on general thoughts, right? So I'll try to keep it quick. There was a lot of positives to take from this match. There was, and I'm not a big moral victory guy, right? Like, the Rapids should have won this match, right, Mike? I think we can all. We can all agree on that. But I thought Rafa Navajo and Darren Yappy, that partnership looked really, really good, especially in the first half. I thought Ted and Calvin Harris continue to impact the game positively and create things and unbalance, the other team's back line with their directness and their positivity in different ways. Right. I thought on the whole, for the most part of the game, we defended pretty well. We conceded a lot of possession, but we didn't seem too uncomfortable really until towards the end of the match, which is always going to happen when you're protecting a lead. Right. And we did all this without Georgi Mihailovic and Cole Bassett and Zach Steffen. And I can't be super disappointed with a point on the road. Right. But I do feel like, my negatives from this match was the little moments that we talk about all the time, the little details making the huge difference, and it's marking in the box. It's getting the right side of your man when crosses are coming in. It's stopping crosses from coming in. It's sorting your feet out when a cross does come in. It's clearing your lines when you're trying to clear your lines, right? And a lot of that stuff happened right towards the end of the match when you're going to be under a lot of pressure. I know it was hot. I know it was humid. I know you put a lot into this match, right? New England are coming, hard at you because they're trying to get something out of this match at home. And I just feel like we didn't deal with these key little moments well enough, the little details that always make the big difference, right? And when there's a player like Carlos Heel on the field, he's going to punish those little details that you don't get right, you know? And there's a reason we talked about him ad nauseum in the last podcast in the preview for this match, right? And if you watched it, you were probably like, oh, they don't, like, all they know about is Heel, you know? Like, they don't know anything about New England. Well, yeah, do you understand why that's all we talked about when, you know, it was almost 1 a.m. after the Galaxy game and we did our podcast, you know? This was a game that you feel like you dropped 2 points, but you can't be super disappointed with a point on the road on a short week in a difficult place to go play. But there are, there were a couple things there that you know, I just mentioned that if we get right, then you walk away with all 3 points, Mike. I don't know how you felt. I know you get a different vantage point because you're getting the capturing all the moments and stuff. But I don't know how you felt about it.
Yeah. So I think disappointment, is kind of the more resounding, overwhelming feeling of it.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, there were certainly positives. Like, I think we have to note that there were positives from this match, right? But I'm just like you, Drew. We're like, you have to look at it for what it was, right? And the way I see it, at least, it was 2 points dropped when the Rapids could have very easily won this match.
Yep.
At this level, it's the little details, man. And especially when you're playing against someone like Carlos Heel, he's going to take advantage of the fact that you're not paying attention to those little details, or they slip up at any given moment. You look at the PK that he gets, right? Like, if he just slips past Sam Bassett and Sam is kind of forced into an awkward position there, forces the foul, Carlos Heel gets a PK, right? It's unforgiving. Like, Drew, you know this so well because you played in this league for so many years against quality players. Mm-hmm. The moment you slip, you're done.
Yep.
The moment you that lapse of concentration or whatever it is, you're done. And I think that's what killed us in the end is not being able to walk away with 3 points from a tough place to play against a side that can be good, especially a Carlos Heel who he's the guy. He's the guy for them, right? There's a reason we talked about him in the previous podcast. I just remember with Carlos Heel, even though I'm filming the game and keeping track of what's going on while trying to do that job, he was everywhere.
He was.
Be at the middle, be at the right, be at the left. Like, he was everywhere looking for some way, shape, or form to be on the ball and impact the play because he's their guy. But in the end, I think as you met, all those positives that you listed out, Drew, between transition play, defending well for good stretches of that match up until we'd conceded the 3 goals. Multiple positives to pull from it, but I think the overwhelming feeling is the 2 points dropped and what could have been 3 points. It could have been 6 points in total from 2 matches in a short turnaround, with the Galaxy match on Wednesday and this tough match at New England on Saturday. So an opportunity missed, I would say, but learning lessons for sure.
Yeah,
lessons for sure.
And the margins are thin, but don't let the last 15 or so minutes mask what was a lot of good in this match.
Oh, yeah.
And again, that's not letting them off the hook. That's not saying that we shouldn't have won this match again because we should have won this match. And Heel, he's a part of all 3 goals, right? Whether he forces the own goal, wins the penalty, scores the penalty, and then drops back deep on the 3rd goal to provide a diagonal that sets up the cross that the Revolution that Urruti ends up getting on the end of. But the margins are thin, and these little moments, these key moments, man, they will be the difference in the match. You can, tactically, you can get everything right. You can go and put a huge effort in, but these little details the decisions that you have to make when you're on the field, it's tough because the little details are hard and they're grinding and they're grimy and it's the end of the match and you don't want to do it. You want to just get by. You can't just get by when there's good players on the field, and there's good players all over this league, right? And so you have to stay focused and move your feet and communicate early and win your individual battles in the box and get the right side of opponents in the box and all those things that you don't want to do. You want to push away. You have to do it because if you don't, you're going to end up dropping points.
Yeah. And that was the case. That was the case on Saturday night, unfortunately. Like we said, Drew. I mean, the overwhelming feeling is the disappointment of feeling that it was 2 points dropped as opposed to 1 point earned, which in the end, a point on the road is good.
Yep.
I think the context of things, makes us, like we said, feel a different way about it. However, you did mention some of the positives because there absolutely were. There absolutely were in this game. So I wanted to pick out a couple things. One is the strikers between Hoffa and Yappy, man. When that partnership gets going, man, it feels like they're kind of I wouldn't say unplayable, but they like Yappy and Hoffa are on one when they're really like that partnership is getting going.
It looks like they're going to create something or score. The first half, it looked like they were going to do something every time they kind of got out into some open space, and that's a good sign.
Yeah. So we look at Hoffa. He got his first goal since April 19th. So it's been a minute for Hoffa, and I'm sure there's one moment when he celebrated, he just kind of does this number because it's a sigh of relief for him. Like finally he got that goal to hopefully open the floodgates so that he can carry on for the rest of the season. Yeah, man. And who's providing the assist on that one?
Yappy.
So that partnership is good. When it's good, Drew. And then Yappy, we 2 assists on the night. His play overall was good as well. And actually, speaking of both of the strikers, they both made team of the match day with Hoffa being on the starting side of that, and then Yappy on the bench. So obviously, their performance is being recognized in a very general sense. Yes, very well deserved. And then a couple other things I wanted to make of note, Drew, is Tenku Di Pietro. That was his first goal for the Rapids that he scored for the club since moving here. Had a nice little celebration. I got a kick out of it because I was filming. He came right in my direction when I was filming it, and I was like, "Oh, this is a really good shot." So thankfully, it played out very fortunately that he was coming my way when I was getting that. But it was kind of nice to watch that. But it feels like very Ted to kind of go about the celebration that he did, and also with a little surprise at the end of it too, that he'd be expecting a baby.
Ted.
Yes.
No
Put the
way.
ball under his shirt. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Right. So that was a nice little surprise thrown in there.
I guess I missed that part.
Yeah.
I saw him silencing the crowd. Yeah. Was it after that?
Yes, it was. Okay. It was after. Maybe the broadcast didn't get it. I didn't watch it back.
Good for him.
But I was there. I stayed on Ted the entire time when I was filming, and he was like, "Oh, why is he ball under the shirt?"
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We're getting an announcement right here.
That's how they announce them these days.
Yeah.
That's how they announce them.
So congrats to Ted with expecting his first baby at some point.
Awesome.
We will get all the details
congrats,
at some point
Ted.
or another. But congrats, Ted, for your first goal and for the baby.
He'll be an amazing father. He'll be an amazing father.
He will be. And then this will be interesting. I say this will be interesting in terms of why I mentioned it because of how the result played is Nico Hansen.
Yeah.
So I honestly would say Nico would be the first to tell you that he maybe didn't feel like it was the best game because he had 3 goals against him. However, I would say no, Nico. Like that, you had a very good performance. Like came up with some very pivotal saves in various moments. Some of them coming from Carlos Heel because of the work that he's putting in and the danger that he creates. Nico, he had a career high 9 saves on the night, Drew. And then outside of the saves, just in general, how involved he was in the moments that he did step up. For me, like I said, it sounds weird to say that a goalkeeper had a good performance when they had 3 goals go past him, but Nico was good on the night.
He was, and I don't think there was a lot he could do on the 3 goal, any of the 3 goals that were conceded. But I do know that he kept a couple shots out that you could have seen going in, and then it's a completely different story, right? So a couple of huge saves from him, and just continues to be a voice and command his penalty area. It was, in terms of that, he makes a bunch of saves. It was a bit of a crazy night because, we do score a couple early goals, so you're always going to be under it a little bit. I thought he made some key saves, some huge saves to preserve the point, and not a lot that he could have done on the 3 goals conceded.
Yeah, so I felt it was worth mentioning that.
For sure.
Like I said, it sounds strange that a goalkeeper could have a good performance when they had 3 goals scored on them, but instead of just looking at stats for what they are and watching the match, I think you would be able to see what I'm talking about.
Agreed.
Nico for me had a good match, a really good match. He stuck out for sure. And again, it's a wonderful story of how, with this most recent Elevate episode that we had come out on Nico Hansen that one of our producers worked on, he talked about, the expectation that there was coming into this group, into this Rapid side at the start of the year. And it was made very clear to him that he's not further up in the pecking order.
Yeah.
Took advantage of his opportunities when they came up between Zach being hurt or unavailable, Adam Beaudry being hurt or unavailable.
Yep.
Shows up when he needs to, and he stepped up tremendously.
He sure has.
Stepped up tremendously. So, and if you haven't already, make sure you give that Elevate episode a watch on Nico Hansen. It's a really, really good one. Just getting a sense of Nico and really just how good he's been for this club so far, man. So, is there any other takeaways? Anything you want to close out on with that match, Drew?
I think this is kind of this was a good match to, for the Rapids to kind of go through, because this is the second half of the season now, and July is going to fly by. We got a busy schedule, right? A couple midweek games, and then August will fly. These next couple. This is the time of the year where things really start to pick up, and there's Leagues Cup coming up and everything. And so I think this was a good match to kind of experience and go through. because a lot came from this match, right? It tested our how we were physically. It tested our mentals. It tested our character and how we respond from that roller coaster of a ride that we just went through on Saturday night will be key moving forward, right? And it starts on Friday night on the 4th of July and then gets busy from there. And before we know it, man, like we're going to be into September, and a lot of this positioning and jockeying for position in the West is going to be it's like, woof, we're either in a good spot or, man, we got some work to do. Let's make sure we're in a good spot, which we are right now. We're eighth in the table. A couple teams do have some games in hand on us. Don't worry about that right now. Let's take it one game at a time. But I thought Saturday, a lot of lessons to learn, a lot of good to take from it. Let's take that and move forward.
Yeah, fully agree. I think that part particularly about how this is one that's going to stick, but I think for the right reasons, to remind you of what you need to do or what needs to happen to make sure you see the result out. Just little moments. That's what you mentioned. Time again, is just those little moments. But I think it's going to prove very, very worthwhile and worth its weight in gold in terms of how you can go about the games in the future, especially what is going to be an extremely busy second half of the season as we enter the critical part of the season. Man, you mentioned that 4th of July is coming up, dude. I remember preseason in Mexico. That was in January, like yesterday. Like time has been flying by.
It does.
So it's been flying by for sure. So, all right. So we'll leave that recap at that with the Revolution and the Rapids. Of course, we were disappointed with how that went down, but at least a point on the road. That is something to take away, at least from that match for sure. So with that, before we move on, getting into, as we have done ad nauseum for the umpteenth time now, is the Rapids app, right? Is because it's just how important it is to stay up to date with everything, not just with news and highlights and these things, which are obviously important to stay in the know with the Rapids, but particularly with the in-game experience of if you have your push notifications turned on, you're in the know and literally in the moments, right? So I think back to our Wednesday match last week against LA Galaxy when we had a rain delay. You have your push notifications turned on. You know before everybody else was kind of sitting there wondering what's going on. Well, if you have the Rapids app with push notifications, you know that we're going to be delayed. After that, you know where we're going to come back and have kickoff and be ready to go again after what was a 2-hour delay. I was not thrilled about that night. And then leading up to 4th of July, which we're going to talk about in just a bit, but you'll know through push notifications through the Rapids app when you can hop on the pitch to watch fireworks from there, which is a really cool experience, by the way. Like I never got to do that back home in DC. Like we never had a 4th of July, but even outside of that, there was never the opportunity to go on the pitch and be like, oh, dude, I got to watch fireworks from the pitch that the players were just playing on not too long ago.
It's the best.
It's dope. Yeah, it's a dope experience.
It's the best. And it's all, it's all the fans all together and you bring a blanket, lay it out, whatever you want to do. And, it's a wonderful fireworks show. It's right above the scoreboard. It feels like it's right over your head. It's loud. It's colorful. It's an amazing way to celebrate the 4th of July.
The largest fireworks show in Colorado.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying. So it's something
No
to really
deal.
soak in. It's no big deal. And the Rapids app, Drew, as we typically say, if it's free,
it's for me.
There we go.
And if you don't like us, right? First of all, you're lying because you're sitting here watching us. But the Rapids app will fill you in on all the stuff that we're trying to.
For sure. So between having push notifications to be in the know, especially in the moment and in-game experiences or anything else that you need to know about the Rapids, make sure you download the Rapids app for free today. All right, everybody. For Off the Pitch, we have none other than Rapids defender Sam Vines. Vinesy, how you doing, man?
Doing all right. How are you guys doing?
Doing well. It's a kind of dreary Monday morning, so we're definitely kind of got the mellow Monday sort of vibe going right now. But we're happy to have you here for Off the Pitch with us, man. It's nice to have you here on the podcast with us. I wanted to start off with asking about you coming back from injuries. So I'm sure it had been very difficult for you starting off the year, just dealing with one injury after the other and just trying to find a way to get back onto the pitch. But now lately you've been earning minutes. You've gotten your starts as well. How does it feel to properly be back in the mix after dealing with those injuries early on?
Yeah, I mean, injuries, it's really hard to deal with, especially when it's one after another in the beginning of the season. You try and push as hard as you can, in preseason, but, sometimes injuries happen and you gotta deal with it. But no, it feels good. It feels good to be back, playing all the time, not dealing with as many injuries and trying to just keep myself healthy throughout this year. But yeah, it feels good to be back in the mix and, back playing minutes again.
kind of along that physical theme, Vinesy, you play outside back, a very physically demanding position. You and I often laugh about how easy it is to play center back versus outside back. Certainly physically, you're asked to get up and down both sides of the ball, right? High speed running, long high speed runs. Of course, you're isolated a lot in 1v1 situations. What's your secret physically? How do you prepare for such a demand over the course of 90 minutes on the weekend?
Yeah, I mean, we've got the physical coaches that try and put us in the gym and try and get us ready for that. But personally, yeah, I think it's just throughout the training week, just choosing your moments and when to push as hard as you can. Obviously, you can't go 100% every single day. Sometimes you feel a knock here and there, but just trying to give everything that you can throughout the week.
For sure, and then maybe in a similar vein, but more tactically, like you have a relationship with really everybody on your side of the field, both defending and in attack, right? With your center back, even with the six that's kind of tilted towards your side, and then the winger that's on your side. How do you balance those relationships? I know the center back always kind of wants you to stay home a little bit. The winger wants you to step up and provide support. You and I have had conversations with all these positions, groups about balancing that. How do you find that balance again over the course of 90 minutes with these relationships that you share with that side of the field during a match?
Yeah, I think it's just a feel throughout the game, also depending on how the game's going. If we have a lead, I might stay back and help defend a little bit more. If we're chasing the game, I'll go help in the attack as much as I can. But no, it's good. Our wingers do a good job. They're always helping. They're taking the space from the middle away. Same with our sixes. Our sixes do a lot of running for the team. So I think it makes it easier for us outside backs when they're doing their job and they're covering the spaces that we could cover, but they're always in those spaces for us.
So we talked about before, Vinesy, about you finally getting back to the mix, earning minutes, earning starts on top of that. But not only that, but goal contributions. You got your first assist of the season against the LA Galaxy last week in the midweek match that we had against them here at Dick's Sporting Goods Park. In terms of goal contributions, do you set like a personal goal for yourself, considering how up and down the pitch you are, particularly on the offensive half, how much you contribute in that sense, and how much do you enjoy getting into the attack as well?
Yeah, I mean, I love attacking. I'm more of an attacking fullback. That's kind of the way the football has shifted. It's kind of shifting more towards attacking outside backs and helping the team get goals and assists. Personally, I set a goal for this year for 10 goals and assists combined. So I'm hoping to hit that by the end of the year. But it all depends how the season goes.
And what about just the team as a whole, Vinesy? Because in a good spot on the table, right inside the playoff line, but we're coming up to a busy stretch, and we've had a couple busy stretches where you get a couple midweek games. Always difficult, physically, mentally. It tests your character. How does the team as a whole kind of prepare for that? Is it a one day, one game at a time type thing? Is it a 3 or 4 block of games kind of thing? How do you think you guys are going to prepare for this busy stretch coming up here in July?
Yeah, I think you said it right. I think it's, we take it game by game usually. We set goals for 5 games or for a month. But I think if we just take it game by game, we can manage it a lot easier. I think setting longer term goals is good, but I think it's more difficult to achieve if you're not doing it day by day.
And then finally, Vinesy, as you know that we have 4th of July coming up, which means it's Fourth Fest. It's the annual tradition for the Rapids to host a 4th of July match here at Dick's Sporting Goods Park. You as a homegrown Rapids player, you having represented the U.S. men's national team, what does this match mean to you, man?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, representing the U.S. is, a dream for I hope everyone that plays and grows up in the U.S. And for me, I love the United States, I love America. And always these games, it's a whole different feeling. You got the stadium sold out, you got fireworks after the show or after the match, and yeah, it's just a feeling. You go to the game, you got the butterflies, and I'm just really excited for the fourth game.
Vinesy, I wanted to. I love 4th of July as well, and I'm looking forward to it. I do every single year. I want to ask you about the jerseys behind you. We were talking a little bit before. This is an awesome setup for our
Uh-huh.
podcast. You said as we're looking at on our left side is all of your jerseys, right? Your former jerseys, and then on the
Yeah, all these ones. Yeah.
right side players that you've exchanged jerseys with. Who are some of your favorites that you've exchanged jerseys with on the right side
Oh,
there?
exchanged with. This one is probably one of my favorite. It's from Vince Janssen. Vincent Janssen. It's the one from the
No
World
Oh,
Cup
way.
where
wowzers.
they
That's
played
sick, man.
against the U.S. Yeah, that's one of
Oh,
my
wow.
That's
guys.
Signature and
oh, he
everything.
signed it too. Yeah,
Yeah, Vinny, he's an awesome guy.
that wasn't a
I
good result
guess.
for the U.S. though, Vinci.
No, I know, I know. I got one of Timmy's jerseys here,
Oh,
um,
wow.
Nice.
from a couple of years ago,
Yeah, I
and
love that.
That's
then
awesome, man.
Little Rapids love
I
there.
was going to say, yeah. Goodness me.
yeah, I got a few other ones from MLS. I got Jasper, of course, from this
There we
year.
go.
Oh,
Yeah,
lovely,
yeah.
man.
Uh-huh.
I love
But
that.
I think Vinny's might be my favorite one. I mean, I love all of them. They're all my guys. So
That's awesome, man. Well done to
yeah,
you for keeping those and keeping them in a special place. I feel like I've
yeah,
got some. They're not quite displayed like that, but that's a cool collection, man. Well done.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vance, I was going to say, with that many jerseys, hopefully either you're buying a brand new house, be it a mansion, to find enough space to frame all of them and put them up somewhere on a wall, man, because it looks like you got quite a bit there. But hey, it's not bad to have such a collection like that, because those are nice little memories you kind of collect along the way from living the dream, man, of playing professional football. So that's awesome, man. That's nice to see. And listen, Vines, we appreciate you being able to take the time to join us here for Off the Pitch. It was lovely getting to speak to you, man, and we'll see you soon, all right?
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
All right, Drew. It's been a minute since we've done around MLS because we had a kind of slightly weird schedule with our podcast recently, the past
Yeah.
week or so. So let's get into around MLS
Let's
this
do
time
it.
around.
Yep.
We'll start off with FC Dallas versus San Diego. What a win for San Diego, Drew. That's a 3-2 win with Tomas Angel game-winning goal 90 plus 6. So they left it late, but they got the win nonetheless at Dallas, and that puts San Diego in first place in the West. San Diego's the real deal, Drew.
They are, and they keep doing it. They keep doing what they do. They pass you to death, a lot of possession, and they've got some superstars. And it's not just Chucky Lozano and Anders Dreyer those are their superstars. But Milan Eloski is scoring goals and getting assists now, and Tomas Angel, right, who scored here late in the game where we beat San Diego at home. But man, they win games. They won 5-3 midweek as well on the road in Vancouver, so they're deserving to be where they are in the table.
Yeah, they're not playing like an expansion team, if that makes
No,
sense.
no.
Typically expansion teams have struggled when they come into the league. I would say, what is it? LAFC, Atlanta would have been anomalies in that sense.
Yeah.
San Diego's another example of that, where I think if they kind of got to write the right formula and everything kind of comes together, you find yourself first place in the West.
Yeah, fun team to watch too.
Yes.
I still think Jeppe Tverskov is one of my favorite. Just
Yeah.
he's a number 6, but just his passing ability and he gets around the field even kind of for a bigger guy. He's a lot of fun to watch. That whole team's fun to watch.
Yeah, Anders Dreyer, I think, is making a very strong case for MVP at the
Yeah,
moment. I
for
think
sure.
9 goals, 14 assists, if I recall. He can score, and he can clearly provide opportunities for his teammates for them to score as well. It doesn't hurt when you have guys like Chucky Lozano and Milan Oleski available to provide
Yeah.
service too. So moving on to the next match, Drew, that we wanted to kind of take a look at was LAFC versus Vancouver. So LAFC, they're coming off their run at the Club World Cup where they were knocked out after the 3 matches in the group stage. So their first match of MLS play since then, and it was against the Whitecaps, where the Whitecaps went to BMO Stadium, were able to earn a 1-0 win. Emmanuel Sabi with the 20th minute, not goal, but a
What a-
golazo,
yeah, what a
I would
goal,
say,
man.
man. And Vancouver, despite that loss midweek against San Diego, they're keeping pace with them since they have a game in hand. So, big result for Vancouver.
Yeah, but both teams are on heavy minutes because of LAFC's Club World Cup, Vancouver's run in CCC, and LAFC went through a few rounds of CCC as well, and so but I thought Vancouver, they ended their 2-match winless streak, everybody's probably waiting for them to kind of start to fade, and they go to LAFC on the road and maybe catch them at a good time. It was also probably, I think, Giroud's last match, right? But Vancouver continued, even with a little bit of a change squad because of injuries and international call-ups, and Cubas did have to go off inside the first 20 minutes of that match, but they continued to get it done. And I will say on the Giroud thing, I think maybe that will free up a little bit more time for Ordaz, who's a player that I'm very interested in and really like to watch play. Giroud, obviously his career speaks for itself, but to see Nathan Ordaz maybe a little bit more, although he's still gotten his time even with Giroud there. He's just an exciting young player that I think this will get him on the field even more, and LAFC, they still have game changers all over the field, and expect them to continue to climb the table. But right now it's Vancouver, again, much like San Diego, deserve to be where they are on the table.
Yeah, for sure, Drew. And then finally, we'll close out with Gold Cup.
Yep.
U.S. men's national team, they played against Costa Rica last night. After regulation, that ended in a 2-2 draw, so they went to PKs. And it had me a little nervous considering they have some dude named Keylor Navas in goal, Costa Rica, because his speaking of guys that have the careers that speak for themselves.
Yeah.
But the U.S., they were able to pull through. They managed to pull through. They advanced 4-3 on PKs. They will face Guatemala this Wednesday at 5 p.m. What did you make of the U.S. performance this time around, Drew?
I thought it was, it's so hard to, please everybody when you talk about the U.S. men's national team. It's impossible, but it's a knockout tournament, and when you get into the knockout phase, it's win and advance, survive and advance, and they did that against the Costa Rican side that have been a big rivals to the U.S., of course, over the years, but in particular the last 4 or 5 years. And I thought their character was really tested, and the players that stepped on the field passed that test. I thought Ajiman looked like a handful up front, looked really good. I thought Tillman looked really good. I thought Diego Luna did his thing again. And, character is tested when you go into penalties, and they survived, and they advanced against a Guatemala side who beat Canada in penalties, a couple hours before. So that's a good opportunity, but you can't look past a side like Guatemala that are playing very hungry and survived their group and now have won in the quarterfinals. A lot's always made about the U.S. men's national team, but they're in the semifinals of the Gold Cup, and I think overall you have to be pleased by that. How it looks, you can determine on your own, but the survive and advance right now is what they're doing.
Yeah, I think that's something that most folks who have been questioning lately with the U.S. men's national team is the grit and the desire and all this. But I think they showed it, right? Exactly as you said, Drew. Find a way to advance. The U.S. did it, and against the Guatemala side that on paper the U.S. should win. However, I feel this is kind of a tricky, if not dangerous, matchup for the U.S. because Guatemala, I think, is a side that's going to go into this matchup with nothing to lose. Mm-hmm. Typically, those are dangerous sides to play against. So, knock on wood that hopefully the U.S. can do what they need to do, be focused, disciplined, and find themselves in the final of a Gold Cup, and hopefully going to win that as well.
And hopefully have some good performances again,
yes,
because those guys I just mentioned played extremely well.
Yeah. So that'll do it for Around MLS.
Yep.
Very nice to see you, man. Busy summer of soccer, man.
It is.
It's between Club World Cup, Gold Cup, MLS. I think that's it, right? I feel like I'm missing something because there's so much
Leagues
soccer.
Cup is coming
Leagues
up.
Cup is coming up. Yeah, goodness me.
I think is the Open Cup still out there somewhere? I know it's a little different.
I have to double check the schedule, but that's going to come.
We're
up
obviously not in the Open Cup because
but in general, though, right?
Yeah.
Just this summer of soccer that we have, it's a lot. It's a lot to keep up with. Clearly,
that's why we look so tired.
I'm just
not because it's Monday morning. Maybe both of those things.
All right, Joe, let's move on because, like we mentioned before, we've got 4th of July.
4th of July.
4th of July. So this is, for those who don't know, I mean, most viewers and listeners would know at this point, with the Colorado Rapids, that 4th of July is a tradition here. Not just an American tradition in celebrating our independence, but it's a tradition to have a match here at Dick's Sporting Goods Park so that you can support your Burgundy boys here at Dick's Sporting Goods Park on a 4th of July, which this is my 5th one that I'm going to experience, which... Dude, I always look forward to it, man. Sometimes you're a little kind of worn out a little bit or because of the workload from the season. But then you see 4th of July come up.
yeah.
It's like, okay, all right, let's kind of like
Re-energizes
wind it up.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man, it gets like for me, it gets me going because I really do look forward to 4th of July, because and it's also just because like there are people who choose to spend their 4th of July with us here at Dick's
Yeah,
Sporting Goods Park, man. Like,
exactly.
of course, everybody's out grilling and having a good time, spending time with family and friends, and going out and doing other things, fireworks shows. But a lot of people choose to spend their time with us here at Dick's Sporting Goods Park, and I get a thrill out of just seeing the amount of people that show up for a 4th of July game. And I know this won't be any different. So I'm very much looking forward to it. Like I said, 4th of July this Friday, 7:30 p.m. Mountain Time, kickoff between the Colorado Rapids and Sporting Kansas City. You can get your tickets today for what is Fourth Fest, as we traditionally name it.
Yep.
And of course, there's going to be all sorts of activities and fun for the kids, for the family in general. That's going to happen on the south side of the stadium, so opposite from where the video board is, in case anybody doesn't know where the south side is of the stadium. The big murals with Georgie, Zach, Cole, and all of them, in case if you guys have seen that before. So over on that side, you can see a lot of those activities and stuff on Fourth Fest before the match. And then, of course, we'll have the match with Sporting Kansas City. Afterwards, like we mentioned, the largest fireworks show in the state of Colorado. So let's look at Sporting Kansas City, Drew, here in terms of their form with the last 3 matches. So they've lost 4-2 versus Dallas at home. Got a 2-1 win versus Charlotte, which that was a wild one where they left it late to win that with 90+3, 90+6, I want to say, against Charlotte. And then most recently on Saturday got a 1-1 draw versus Real Salt Lake. Johnny Russell, their club legend, snuck a goal.
Came back to haunt them.
He did, yeah, he did. To be fair, he didn't celebrate because I think he really has a love and admiration for that club. And I mean, he did a lot for them as well. So in terms of team comparison, Drew, let's look at the records between the two sides. The Rapids are currently 7-8-5. SKC is 5-10-5. Points, Colorado have 26. SKC have 20. Colorado have scored 23 goals, whereas SKC have scored 31. Goals against, the Rapids have conceded 28. SKC they've conceded 37, quite a few goals that they've conceded this season. And then average possession, the Rapids have 43.4% average possession on the season versus SKC, who have 48.3%. And yeah, Drew, this feels like another year where KC is kind of going through it a little bit. I think they found a little bit of rhythm since that unfortunately Peter Vermees was they parted ways. Both the club and Peter Vermees, they parted ways back on March 31st. Since he left, they're 5-4-4, scoring 2 goals per game. Under Vermees, it was around a goal a game. But they're still giving up quite a few goals. It's around 2 goals a game that they're giving up every game, Drew. So I think there has been improvement since Peter Vermees did leave, but it's one because it's Peter Vermees, right? I think the name speaks for itself, especially in SKC and in the SKC circles. But then 2, it felt like maybe they did need that change, but I think there's still work to be done, right? So Kerry Zavadnin, who's Peter Vermees' longtime assistant, stepping into the role for now to help SKC through this kind of stretch before they find their full-time head coach. So up to this point, Drew, what have you made of SKC, and kind of what do you expect out of this SKC side when they come here to Dick's Sporting Goods Park for 4th of July? The second time in a row, actually. Second year in a row they're doing that since they came here last year.
Yeah, Sporting Kansas City, I think they're probably, they're about where they should be with certainly results, but just performance. And I think anytime there's a big shift, with Peter Vermees' departure and the mutually parting ways, you still did, you keep Kerry Zavagnin around, who knows the club well, knows the players well, has provided, his wrinkles. And so that, they are scoring more, but they're struggling to defend. They're struggling to stop goals. 37 goals conceded. That's right up near the top in Major League Soccer. That being said, this is a side that is going to come in, that it's pumped up, that it's 4th of July as well, that it's against a bit of a regional rival, that 2 teams that see each other quite often and don't really like each other. And every game, they're still in it right now. They're below the playoff line, but there's still plenty of games left. That there's still a lot of hunger and fire in that Sporting Kansas City side that have some very good players that we'll talk about. Just to mention, Eric Tommy and Manu Garcia and Dejan Jovic, Daniel Shalawi, right? These are players that if you don't get the details right, they can punish you, but a matchup that sets up well and that I think is fitting for the 4th of July because of how how often we do see this team. We did see them last year on for Fourth Fest and walked away with 3 points. So I'm expecting some fireworks.
Yeah, man, on the pitch as well as off the pitch,
On and
for
off the
sure.
pitch.
So a couple things to note, specifically with players who would be not available for this upcoming match. Drew. So on the Rapid side, Reggie Cannon, he got a yellow card at New England Revolution on Saturday, so that means he will be ruled out for this 4th of July match. And then on the flip side with Sporting Kansas City, Jake Davis got a red card on Saturday night, so he will be unavailable, which I don't mind because Jake Davis I think is a pretty important piece for them as well.
He sure is.
So I kind of don't mind that, to be honest with you. Yeah, and you mentioned some players that they have, quite frankly, they have a list of players who do have quality, right? I think maybe the record and some of the results that they've gotten or not gotten isn't entirely reflective of the quality that they have on this side. But I would say at least one player that is worth noting on this Sporting Kansas City side is Dejan Jovalic. So this is someone who came over from the LA Galaxy in the offseason for quite a bit of money. Sporting Kansas City is going to say, yeah, why not? We'll take someone like that off your hands.
Yeah.
If you're dealing with, I guess, certain financial constraints that keep you from maintaining him on the LA Galaxy roster. 6 goals in his last 6 appearances. He has 11 on the season, Drew. That kind of surprised me a little bit when I saw that stat, considering kind of how Sporting Kansas City has been doing this season. So I think Sam Surridge has 16, so he's not that far off from the Golden Boot race if he kind of racks up a few goals. So regardless of that, he's still dangerous, Drew. Like with just the presence that he provides, the link-up play that he provides with his players, with his teammates. And we saw his quality with the Galaxy, right? And that's something that he's still trying to, I think, translate a little bit more into a Sporting Kansas City. Like we said, a side that's still trying to kind of figure things out without a full-time head coach, with quite a few new players that they brought in this offseason. But regardless of all that, Dejan Jovalic is a guy that's going to present all sorts of problems and danger for the Rapids back line, the Rapids overall. This is a guy you have to keep tabs on, Drew. And we talked about, you as a center back, I'd be curious to get your opinion on how you keep tabs on someone like this and how difficult it is to do so.
It's tough because Jovalic does a little bit of everything. He's good in hold up play. He's not a big guy, but he's strong, so he can bring his teammates into the play. But he also likes to drift a little bit off your shoulder in your blind spot, where if he gets on the ball and has a little time and space, he can score goals. He can provide key passes, and then he comes alive in the penalty area when the ball is in crossing positions. When they're in transition, that this is when he comes alive, and he's a little bit of a streaky forward, like a lot of the best number 9s can be. But when he's playing with confidence, he upgrades the players around him, and he can, bottom line, he can put the ball in the back of the net from just about anywhere. And so you do need to keep tabs on him, Mike, and I anticipate that he's going to be a big part of the Rapids defensive preparations throughout the week for them. For my Rapids player to watch, let's go to that side. I'm not going to choose one player to watch. Okay. For the 4th of July match, I'm gonna call on anybody that comes off the bench. Right? It could be one player, it could be 5 players, because I feel like, first of all, we've talked about a lot of these players now that we're over halfway through the season, right? But substitutes need to make positive impacts on the match, no matter what position they come into, no matter what time of the match they come into. They will make an impact on the match, and it needs to be a positive impact. And I just feel like, apart from maybe Calvin Harris, before he was, these last 2 matches that he started, he was really the only one in the past month plus that made a real good positive impact when he came off the bench, and it's about understanding your role, understanding the situation of the match that you're coming into, and how you can, then impact that match positively with your energy and with your communication and just all, again, the little details that you have to get right. And it's not easy. It's not easy coming off the bench, right? And a lot of times you prepare the whole week because you want to start and you're fighting for a starting spot. And then, you find yourself on the bench when the game starts. But it doesn't matter. That's the role that you have been given on that day, you need to make sure that you are prepared and ready to come in and make an energetic and positive impact, regardless of what the role is. And so I'm not going for one player to watch on Friday night. I'm going for anybody that starts on the bench. Be ready to come in and do what you need to do to make sure that we're putting everything forward to get all 3 points on the night. And so the subs are my player to watch, Mike.
It takes everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It takes everybody. And I think you cited the perfect example of that in Calvin, right? Who,
Mm-hmm.
when he wasn't playing, when he was barely getting minutes off the bench, but then he found that critical moment in the past month or so when he was coming off the bench, making a difference.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, he starts 2 games, scores 2 in 2 consecutive games as well, against the Galaxy and against New England. So I think that's proof of concept in terms of like being able to make a difference off the bench. And if the coaching staff deems it worthwhile, that you find yourself starting, you know, the next match, right? So, you know, that would be the incentive for anyone who's on the bench and wants to find their opportunity, earn their spot in the starting 11. Is just look at Calvin.
Yeah,
Calvin's a prime example of
Absolutely.
that this season in terms of working your way through despite finding struggles and not getting the minutes that you wanted in certain stretches of the season. So we looked at a couple individuals on either side of this matchup, Drew. But I want to get your keys to the match in general. What do the Rapids need to do to get a handle on this, what can be a dangerous Sporting Kansas City side, so that they could walk away with all 3 points for this 4th of July match?
Well, if you've watched up to this point of the podcast, you're not going to be surprised where I'm going with my key to the match. And ours are kind of tied together, Mike, right? Which a lot of times they are. But it's the details. It's the key moments, right? It's again, you can go out there and be 100% prepared tactically and individually ready to get after it. But if you're not ready to grind and roll up your sleeves and do the dirty work and do the little details, the movements, the communication, getting on the right side of your man, upgrading the shot, stopping crosses, making yourself big, whatever it is, the little things that, you think, it'll be okay. It's not going to lead to anything major. No, it is going to lead to something major, right? Those little details make all the difference. And especially when they happen in key moments, let's be locked in, concentrated, switched on for 90 minutes in front of a big crowd, right, that are going to be ready to explode every time you do something positive, every time you score a goal, whatever it is. They're going to be on the edge of their seats ready because it's the 4th of July. There's fireworks coming. It's going to be those details in the key moments. And Mike, I know you're going to kind of piggyback off of that, and I think it's important.
I will. You walked so I could run in terms of pointing out
right.
my key to the
That's
match, Drew. So going off the details and the concentration that you mentioned, Drew, especially coming off the way things played out in the New England match this past weekend, but also enjoy the occasion, right? It's 4th of July. This is a tentpole tradition for the Colorado Rapids to be able to play on 4th of July here at home at Dick's Sporting Goods Park in front of their home fans. And it's going to be a big crowd, like you mentioned. It's going to be a big occasion. Enjoy it. Mm-hmm. You have to be able to enjoy it. Like I myself, even just talking through it, kind of get like almost like kind of giddy, hoping that I could be one of those players starting from this, going from the start, playing in front of such a big crowd on 4th of July. Like for me, that gets me excited just talking about it. So for these players, you have to be able to enjoy the occasion with the big crowd, with what is a tradition here at this club on 4th of July to play a match on 4th of July. But kind of reel it in a little bit, keeping in mind all the details, staying concentrated throughout the match, right? As Chris Armas likes to say, we never get high on the highs, never too low on the lows, right? So enjoy the occasion, but not too much. Be concentrated and be fully focused on what you need to do on the night, but try to enjoy it a little bit as well. So that there is kind of that happy medium between the two emotions of enjoying the occasion, but needing to be mindful of the details in games. So for me, at least, it's just enjoy the occasion, man. This is the game that I think a lot of folks, be it fans, people at the club, players, coaches, all look forward to. It's one of those that you circle on the calendar as soon as you see it pop up. Well, we know it's always 4th of July, so you always know when it's coming up. But when that 4th of July match comes up, you're ready and you want to be a part of it in some way, shape, or form. So if the players do their part, pay attention to the little details, stay concentrated for 90 minutes, whether you're a starter, whether you're a sub, you can enjoy the occasion even further, where hopefully you're walking away with 3 points on a very special night that is 4th of July.
Enjoy the occasion, but stay in the moment.
Yeah.
Right. And then I think everybody that comes to the stadium that night that's wearing burgundy will enjoy the night as a whole. So I like that. That's a good little wrap there.
Yeah.
Enjoy the occasion, but stay in the moment.
Yeah, man.
Easy to say. Very easy to
man,
say.
It's very easy to say. It's very easy to say. Ask me to run around 5 minutes in this altitude. Not sure that's going to happen. So it's very easy for us to say, but it's going to come down to all the prep and all the hard work that the coaching staff and the players are going to be putting in this week, right? Again, like we said, coming off that what felt like a disappointing result against New England, they're going to want to course correct, and especially here at home, and especially on 4th of July, especially in front of a big crowd that's going to show up. We know they're going to show up. So, but for me, at least the overwhelming feeling for 4th of July is just excitement, man.
Yep.
I always look forward to 4th of July. And so hopefully you guys do, viewers and listeners do as well. And there's no reason to miss out. Come join us.
Come join us.
Come join Drew and I don't. You're gonna munch on a hot dog or 4 probably on Out of Bounds.
Well, if I don't on Out of Bounds, then I will somewhere else, because that's what you do on that's what you do on a summer night. But that's definitely what you do on the 4th of July.
Listen, if I go missing because for work or whatever on the night, I'm probably with Drew. Just like we're out with just eating hot dogs.
As many hot dogs as possible. Well,
enjoying the night too much.
Sometimes eating hot dogs is my job, and that's part of the reason why I love my job.
I need your job, Drew. So like I mentioned, there's no reason for you guys to miss out. So for our viewers and listeners, make sure if you guys are in Colorado, or if you're flying into Colorado for 4th of July, join us here at Dick's Sporting Goods Park for the matchup between the Colorado Rapids and Sporting Kansas City, happening on Friday, July 4th, 7:30 p.m. Mountain Time kickoff here at Dick's Sporting Goods Park. Get your tickets today for Fourth Fest. Like I'd mentioned earlier, we're going to have, for families, it's going to be super friendly and fun to have all the activities on the south side of the stadium. Like I said, that's opposite from where the video board is. So make sure you guys tune in there pregame before the actual match itself takes place. And as we mentioned before, if you have the Rapids app, have push notifications turned on, you will know when it is time to go on the pitch after the match so that you can watch the largest fireworks show in Colorado from the pitch.
Right here.
Which I don't know, all around for a night, that's pretty hard to beat, man. I got to say. Like, I think man, I'm going to find a way if I'm not working that night just to go and just be a fan. Enjoy the match, man, because it's great.
Yeah, I've been to a lot of 4th of July matches here, obviously, and so is my family, and we look forward to it. And like you said, circle it, even though we know where it is on the calendar. Where's 4th of July? What's 4th? Where is it this year? Yeah, you know where it is, but we look forward to it. Really for the entire month of June, and then just the few days in July, and it's the same every single year. It's an absolute blast, and it's going to be no different this season.
Yeah,
so come on out and let's get 3 points. Let's get some fireworks while we're on the field watching, and let's get home safely.
Couldn't have said it better myself. I think we can close on that note now.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So that's going to do it for us for this edition of the Colorado Rapids podcast. My thanks to the production crew, Rich and Miles, of course, our resident Rapids legend, my good friend Drew Moore. I've been your host, Mike Ruvolo. Let's see you guys out here at Dick's Sporting Goods Park this Friday for 4th of July. And if not, then we'll see you guys on the next podcast coming up. So enjoy and have a good week. We'll see you guys in the next one.